GM. What's going on?
Oh, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
We got Bergie
In the house, in the house.
I can't hear Bergie though.
He's working out his mic and audio, I think, at the moment.
All right. That's good. How was your day?
Mine?
Yeah, how was your day yesterday?
Oh, yesterday was lovely. Weather was nice. Played with the doggy a little bit. Enjoyed being pre-rich.
Pre-rich.
Yeah.
Hey, does this mic work? Okay.
Hey,
Can you guys
good.
hear me?
Damn, dude, you sound 100 times louder and clearer than the last time I heard you on a microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought like one of those synthesizer or whatever those like $400 mic is, and I just can't figure it out.
Very nice. One of the ones
Yes.
with condensers on it.
And then remember the other time my mic was like all staticky, like when we were gaming, it was like I had like a $10 mic. It was like a $100 mic, but yeah, I don't know what was wrong with it.
I think that is probably a common problem for people who are speaking out of a block of ice.
Yeah, it makes sense.
How are you, DK? How's your day yesterday? How's your morning?
Good. Good. My dog's a little sick, but she'll survive. But other than that, so I've been up a little early. She was getting a little sick. But other than that, so far so good.
DK has a show dog, so it being sick isn't like, all the rest of our pleb dogs being sick.
Yeah, she's like top 20 right now. She shows this weekend.
Top 20
Same.
in the world or in the States?
Well, AKC, top 20 AKC.
Okay. Damn.
Yeah.
Mine will never be in any kind of ranking because I haven't done certain things aesthetically to her to make her fit in the category to where she should, I guess.
Do they clip tails?
Her tail and her ears aren't clipped, and she has really like floppy ears. They look longer than like most pits I've seen. But she's pure. So I don't know what to say, but yeah, I didn't want to clip them. I didn't want to clip anything. And she's not much of a show dog without her ears clipped.
Fair enough. All right, we want to dive into it.
Yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
All right, let's do a little bass talk.
Actually,
So, Aerodrome just launched. It already has 150 million in TVL. That's pretty good. I feel like what is the TV like? I guess there's 100,000 ETH that's been deposited on base.
All
However,
buying girl shares.
Hmm?
All 100 million was used to buy e-girl keys on FriendTech.
Bergie, how's the market? How's the FriendTech market? What's going on over there?
A lot of like the NFT people are like running laps about it, which is pretty funny. But like, a lot of the crypto people's floors have been like very steady or like flat, which is kind of surprising after the hype, Like you figured like people would just like not pump and dump it, but like chase hype and then just lose money and like get out and then call it dead. And volume's down, but the floors are all fairly steady and like I don't know, I like the app. I think it's pretty interesting. And
Yeah,
some
I
people
saw.
are actually using it as like I don't know, I think it's a like a unique product.
Yeah, I saw
Magnet
that.
Money, I think, is using it the right way for a brand by, doing. I think they're doing like rev share, plus they're doing like certain types of like qualifications. Like if you have a key, it qualifies you for certain things to participate in on their show, and they thought of some cool ways to use it.
Yeah, I think of it as like using it as like a way to have like analysts for you. Like if you can find like good people who like actually are working pretty hard. Like a couple $100 is not much for like people like in the trenches like grinding away.
That's fair.
Yeah, people that are like in the I need to make it mode. So they're searching like every new token contract that gets deployed on chain, and they've got a 3-page write up in Notion on this $30,000 market cap token they've stumbled across.
Yeah, I bought a like a $1,000 market cap token last night, and you could only buy like $1 of it at a time per wallet. It was like the most like frustrating thing I've ever like had done.
Is that the one that you were like, you can only buy 5,000 of these?
Yeah, that was when it was like 80 cents.
So funny. Yeah, there's not a. I think that's one of the things that deters like the participants from the cycle prior. So like they've already made a lot of money, or not that maybe they've held on to it, but they're used to trading with like large pockets of capital, throwing 50, 100,000 at some new alt that's been out for less than 3 days maybe on Uniswap. And then when you get like really in the trenches, or you go to these alt L1s, EVM compatible L2s, and you're trying to ape like the new launches there, you can't do it with size. So like trying to tell yourself like, I'm only gonna ape $1,000, or I'm only aping with $3,000, just doesn't seem worth it, to some people. They don't understand that like that $1,000 could like, 300x over the course of 2 weeks, maybe. Obviously, 99% of them are gonna rug or go to zero, but that's kind of the point, right? Like it's like a spray and pray methodology on a lot of the new L1s. Reminds me of like the early Ether Delta days where you just like, we set up bots and we were just like spitting $20, $50 at every new token that was getting listed. Like most of them didn't do shit, but then every once in a while you had like something that really took off, like Bancor, or I'm trying to think of the one, Dragon Chain. That's another good one from back then.
I think they actually completely shut down now. I think they're completely dead.
Yeah.
They're completely dead now, but at the time
they came back. They came back like 3 times in the last like 3 or 4 years.
We can think not so fast.
Yeah, it's that Disney partnership's coming.
Dude, I don't know how more of those teams didn't like survive. It didn't really seem. I don't know. You just kind of had to like stick around, and then like a lot of the L1s from that cycle either died or like became like Phantom or something, and like did pretty well in like a bull market. So I don't know how they all died.
Issues, or there were kind of like, I don't know, node infrastructure or operator like issues. Like, I mean, EOS kind of fell apart from a bunch of, I'm trying to think what they called them.
Dude, they had so much money.
Like, yeah, they had a shit ton of money, but Block One removed themselves from, any part of like EOS development or really funding. And it was more on like these individual block producers to see it as a revenue stream and a way to make money by controlling the network. But then it kind of all started going to shit when, I'm trying to think what they did, but there was this group that created a token and some bots that the only point of it was to spam the network to run your resources up. They were trying to show that like, the system doesn't work, that like people can flood the system and force you to have to stake more to up your resources, and essentially like make it unusable, because the network was free to use, but you had to stake EOS as like RAM, and then stake EOS for resources and other shit. Yeah, it was a mess.
Anyways, back to Friendtech. I saw something earlier this week. It was like 20,000 DAU, which is like, if you look at any of the analytics in our space, like 20,000 DAU, for comparison, Compound has like 100 people, daily active users.
Yeah, but you don't need to take a loan every day, unless you're like, you don't need to use that unless you're like about to get liquidated or like you want to buy some alt. So like,
true.
I don't know.
But
I think
it's like, you look at the market cap of something like a Compound, and there's like minimal activity on a lot of different platforms right now. It's pretty
It would be good to check like the daily active users versus like the daily page visits of a Uniswap like loan position. Like that would be a good metric to compare, because like someone going to their group chat to check once or twice a day, and then the type of person that is running their health ratio down to like 1 point something and needs to check every day.
Yeah, that's true. I know the stats from like perp dexes. Perp dexes is like 10% is that come in that actually do a page view versus actually take an action. So yeah, you're probably right. It's probably 10x more page views than actually someone who actually takes an action, most likely because they're just looking at like the loan, or they're looking at their open, perp position. They're not actually, having to open or close something. Fair enough. All right. We're gonna move on to the next part. So, Chainlink announced. Well, they announced Swift quite a while ago, but they came out with a little bit more information that between permissioned and permissionless blockchains, they've been able to use CCIP to kind of communicate between these networks. Like, we knew this was coming. However, what I want to maybe discuss is SmartCon is in almost exactly 1 month. Are they doing a layup? Are they doing an alley oop here? Because
I think
you would imagine that they're gonna have something major for SmartCon.
I was just gonna say that I think that they're probably going to, being that this is kind of like their first big SmartCon, probably release a lot of groundbreaking news, or a lot of things that they've kind of had in the pipeline for a while that have leaked a little bit, or kind of people who are really paying attention to Chainlink stuff know about, but the rest of the industry isn't too privy to.
Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to Chainlink at all.
Like DK, we probably know a lot about what's going on in the Chainlink world because we talk to them all the time. But for everyone else, like, they probably aren't aware of like where they're at with CCIP, like anything about Chainlink functions, shit like that.
I didn't even know they had like a conference.
They had what?
I didn't even know they were having a conference. So
yeah, Barcelona will be there repping.
Yep.
Do people still do like the conference trade? Like it goes up only until the conference, or that doesn't happen in bear markets?
No, I haven't really seen that. Not this year.
I think for like Ethereum and other L1, like alt L2 conferences, it's a bit different because you're like betting on the substrate. For SmartCon, I don't know if that would have been like the trade last year, but I could see that narrative for this year's, given that they've had a pretty painful last little bit in the market, and I could see a lot of the Marines using this as a catalyst to, start removing some of the negative sentiment around Chainlink at the moment.
I mean, go ahead.
The CCIP, like, how does that like compare to like you can just interact with contracts like across chain? It's not just like
it's just arbitrary messaging like Layer 0.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering compared to how much traction it'll get versus like circles, like their mint and burn.
Yeah, so it allows you to do that the native issuance, like how Circle does it. But it right now, the functions that they allow is the mint and burn. However, there's more functions coming down the pipeline, like lock and unlock. Lock and unlock, I think, are going to be pretty critical for cross-chain RFQ or like cross-chain swaps. So like you put in, I want to buy this, the cheapest price is not on the chain that you're currently on, then it will actually like lock that trade in for you while your assets are moving cross-chain. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening in the Layer 0, XLR, CCIP space. But again, we spend so much time in that space because,
yeah,
DeFi
it's
devs.
going to be interesting with all the Layer 2s popping up. I mean, there's more Layer 2s that launched than I can even name in like the past like month. So I don't know. I think like the whole multi-chain thing is kind of dead for a bit, but it seems like multi-layer 2 world is like pretty like going pretty well with like the base launch and stuff.
Meta, it seems like the LP stack meta.
Yeah, I wonder how their token launches will go. Because a lot of those teams raise a bunch of money, but like never launch a token. So like they have to like launch a token sometime soon.
Or they'll wait for the market.
Chains.
I mean, they got enough to weather it out.
I've heard rumors that the Barrett
Start.
chain doesn't exist, is supposedly launching in the near future.
Bear chain?
Supposedly for real this time.
Dude, they've been. It's gonna be DOA, I think.
Nah.
They took too much. They took too much time. They
Mhm.
They took way too much time. They should have launched 9 months ago.
I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of money behind it, or like I don't know, I've seen like OTC deals. Like there seems to be buyers at like $1 billion something. But I just don't know who's buying that.
Me neither. Anyways, yeah, I think the technology is coming around fast, but with intents and like account abstraction, like you're not going to even know that like it's going to be abstracted away like what chain you're actually on pretty soon. I think at like this time next year, there's going to be a lot of wallets where like that have like an avocado like user interface. Where like you don't even need to change RPCs or anything. You're just like easily moving things between chains. Axelar has Axelar.
Have you used that yet? I know you were
Axelar?
a big no, avocado.
Oh, I haven't used that. I was talking to the guys at Slingshot, and they've been telling me about their account extraction and like things they're working on. It seems pretty cool, like being able to trade from like a hard wallet from your mobile device. Like you can approve like let's say you have like 10,000 USDC and you want to trade that, but you don't want to bring your hardware wallet. You can do something with the account abstractions and use that to trade on chain from like your mobile phone. So you like send it to like an address you don't really have many.
You're like approving a certain address to be able to
spend your money,
Yep.
which is pretty cool.
X amount, like what you do on a lot of dexes right now. You give it approval to spend up to a specific limit, and then you have to reapprove from there.
Yeah, with some of the intent stuff, you abstract the middle components. So like you can say, I have ETH token, I want USDC token, this is the minimum amount I'll accept. How that happens, I don't care. So that could be like a cross-chain swap. That could be, multiple different swaps between like to DAI and then DAI to USDC. It could be like all these different things. And so like MEV is going to have another resurgence when, this is what the whole Suave is. Like all the Flashbot guys are working on Suave right now, which is like, how do we solve intents and bring about another renaissance of MEV?
So this avocado wallet, it's Instadap, is that right?
Yep.
I'll check it out. I haven't seen it.
DK said so. You basically set up a hot wallet. Yeah, you're essentially allowing a wallet to spend for a specified amount from your safe account. So you can set up a multi-sig wallet, and then
Are you talking about the new avocado stuff? So avocado has a account abstraction wallet, like for just a user, and then yesterday or Tuesday they released their multi-sig flavor. But the way that they do it is they have like one RPC that you connect to, but then from that RPC you instruct on all the chains. So you have like an account abstraction wallet on all chains. You don't have to like constantly
just launched.
Yeah.
I haven't used it myself.
That was cool that it instantly deploys on all chains for you. What I was saying to DK yesterday was that that's super. Even though there's been like Safe already fixed this, it's nice that it's just standard now. I saw a lot in like the wallet world previously where there weren't really standards. Everyone kind of did their own thing, built wallets their own. Obviously, like all wallets are technically built the same. They're all derived from a key, but whether they're using public nodes, whether they have you set up their own node. Like there were a lot of different ways that people were doing things. The derivation path that they used for like your Bitcoin wallets, shit like that. So it's cool now to see that people are doing things and building in a way to where it alleviates all of these kind of points of stress that you might have to think about when setting things up as a protocol or a fund or Protail, whatever, where you're going to be deploying capital on multiple different chains.
Fair.
Any idea when UniV4 launches too?
Yeah, UniV4 is interesting to me, especially with the Uniswap X. They're definitely setting it up so that when intent infrastructure is up and running, is they're going to be your entry point for that.
What are intents? Is that, I don't know what that is.
In it's like the next level of account abstraction. So you say, like, the example is, my intention is that I want to manage I want to make sure that my loan is always above, a 1.0 on the health scale. And I don't care how that happens. So you can sell assets in my account abstracted wallet. You can add more collateral. You essentially agree on different outcomes that you want to happen. And then how that happens in the middle is done by like a solver. All right. So like a solver might say, okay, these 3 transactions will result in your health factor going above 1 if it's below 1. And then that will happen for you. So like, then a paymaster will pay for the gas and the solver will put together the transactions, and then that will just happen within your wallet. Now, you obviously can put a lot more parameters in there, especially when it comes to like swaps. And so like if you want to do a swap and you're like, I don't care if this comes from Uniswap or if this comes from CowSwap or if this comes from like, a completely different chain, or if it's filled OTC, I want to sell my 1 ETH for 2,000 Ether in the next 30 minutes. I just want you to give me the most amount of, USDC as I can, at least 2,000. And so solvers will try to solve that for you over the next 30 minutes. And if that happens, and it might just be a regular Uniswap trade, it might be 0x fill. There's different ways that it can be filled, but as long as the outcome is what I intended to happen, then the transactions that happen in the middle can be multiple different routes, if you will. So instead of like going to an aggregator and like picking, them giving you multiple different routes to choose from, and you pick one, that's kind of done for you. And so Uniswap X, their idea of solvers, that they're calling them fillers, is a similar methodology.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say
one up.
Sounds like CowSwap too.
Yeah. CowSwap just released some more information on how they're thinking about intents. I don't know, within like the last week, some of their developers actually released a research paper on it. And then Safe announced how they're thinking about intents. They're using different semantic wording, but it's pretty much the same thing. I forget what they're calling it. They have like 3 different terms.
We should just call them requests.
This is another thing I wrote an article on. Let's see. I got articles and everything. They all get like 4 views, so no one will ever see them, but they exist.
I haven't been paying too much attention to like DeFi and I guess like overall dev work. I've just been buying like shitters, and like that's kind of it.
Yeah, people kept asking me on the last few streams I've been on, like, what are you trading? What are you doing? I'm like, I trade ETH and like absolute dog shit. Okay. Like, you're not going to get the index of, tier B, A, or S projects in, my portfolio. Like, I'm stables of some flavor, depending on the chain, ETH, and then some dog shit that, just launched, and, there's no website, and like some autistic kid they found running their Twitter.
Yeah, have you guys played around with like those Maestro wallets and stuff?
No.
No, just Unibot.
No, they're all about the same, but using them for like limit orders and stuff is actually like super useful.
Have you used the Discord one? Is that Maestro or is there a different one?
That's like Meow. I think there's a few of them now. I haven't used it. I don't really like Discord that much. It just is like slow to load, like if you're on mobile.
Have you guys looked at Flowmatic at all?
Sounds really familiar.
Flowmatic. Well, it's Hackerman Ace is now like in charge of operations, I think. But it is, from what I deem, it is a terminal. It's like a DeFi terminal. So you can plug into all the different like dexes. You can, and it runs locally on your machine. So it's like an app you run on your machine. You put in the private key of whatever wallet you want to trade off of, and then it's like a trading terminal that plugs into all these different.
That's pretty cool.
Trading tools. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that, but yeah, like the tools for actually trading have changed a lot. Like there's that banana wallet. Have you guys seen that one?
No.
Nope.
It does like MEV for you. Well, like for like sniping new pools and stuff, and you can like tip. It makes it really easy to set up like a snipe for something.
That one I have to look into. Yeah, see, normally I wouldn't be too interested in the Discord ones if I think if I didn't work with projects and protocols, I probably wouldn't be in Discord very much at all. But Discord, it seems to be like Slack 2.0 or like crypto's preferred Slack. And then Telegram's where, all the autism lives.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary.
Yeah, Discord is like, it gets laggy in some of our rooms. I just
can't ever keep track of like all the notifications and different chats I'm in. It's just
it's a full-time job to manage that shit.
It's hard for me to
leave servers don't use anymore, all that shit.
I shove them in folders. I'm pretty organized with folders between Telegram and Discord now. So now I have like 190 servers that I never look at that are in folders, but I don't want to leave because they have awesome fucking stickers or something. And then, like the top 5 that I have to look at are just out of the folder. Telegram's way worse. Like, it's unmanageable some days.
Yes. So I had to leave. So my main Telegram, or my first Telegram, I just fucking abandoned it. And I made the other one for work-related things. Like that's pretty organized, and I keep that like pretty tip-top shape. But my Telegram front that existed like DeFi Summer and post, I haven't logged into that thing forever. It is a mess.
Yeah, I was missing some of your messages because the only channels with notifications on in Telegram are the ones that I've put in like my Premia folder. And then everything else is just whenever I look at it, I had to move you over to the Premia from the DM folder.
Yeah, it's good. I was feeling like I was being dismissed,
No, it's just Telegram's like fucking absolute shit show. All right, let's talk about this Uniswap shit since we're kind of talking about Uniswap X and Intense. We got Hayden fucking jumping around with pom-poms on Twitter.
No, he was like, oh, I totally forgot about this case that's against my company.
Oh yes, this case.
I couldn't be bothered with this legal case against my company. No, so there was a case brought against Uniswap in which someone that was scammed essentially said, your technology allowed me to get scammed, and that case was dismissed. Which I think Cozy knows a little bit more into like the different talking points on this, but I kind of think of it kind of like the gun debate of like, okay, the gun was invented and like a gun can be used for poor things, but like are you going to constantly go after
Smith and Wesson?
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're using this or you're participating in behavior that's, you know, it's not like Uniswap is like, you should go buy this token, or like you have to go through steps to even find, like on their front end, to even find these kinds of tokens. There's like a number of disclaimers, and you have to go out of your way to bring up the pools, and it's just like, this is not on any token list. Are you sure you want to do this? So I mean, it sets a precedent, I think, for some things. Whether or not this plays into the Tornado Cash debate, I don't know, because the Tornado Cash debate is that you knowingly created the software to create a platform for laundering of money, whereas Uniswap has a lot of legitimate activity. You could say majority is a legitimate activity. Is the case for Tornado? Probably not. Or probably. I don't know. It depends on how you look at things. Well, you can pivot it and say all money laundering happens through Tornado Cash.
That's not true.
Well, what other ways on the Ethereum network would you launder money?
That's an insanely or grossly inaccurate fact. The majority of money laundering happens through non-custodial exchanges and centralized exchanges, and then they will like offboard through doing a Monero swap on. I'm trying to think of what it was called.
You can't do
It can't
size though.
But the majority of theft,
you can't do atomic swaps in size.
You can even look at, you can't do them in size, but you can do a handful of them in like $20,000 to $100,000 on these non-custodial exchanges. And you'll see in like every one of Zach XBT's like big things, like there's always some point where in the beginning where they go through like what the fuck is their name? It's a few different Russian ones. Like they don't have Russian names at all, but they're ones based out of Russia. But they always go through there, and they used to do like any token that they would steal or exploit from wherever. They would just do these like A, B, C, A, Monero to different asset swaps to try to obfuscate their money. So I would say that most maybe uneducated thieves were trying to launder only using Tornado, but it was pretty easy to follow them because they were doing large in and large out, not spacing out their withdrawals. That was like one of the reasons why Tornado wasn't very effective, because there was only a pool of X amount of participants, and the size of inputs and outputs was traceable in most cases.
So is your argument that money
My argument is that using BISC and non-custodial swaps and other bridges where you were able to bridge and swap facilitates probably, I don't want to say significantly more, but a lot more than Tornado did. If you're just looking at like course of its run during its lifetime.
I need to see some stats, because from what I've seen with the non-custodial or atomics, is usually there's a cap. And so if you wanted to do something like 100 million, it'd be pretty difficult to do.
Yeah. There's zero chance you're doing 100 million through there. But a handful of million over the course of a week is hard. You definitely don't see it now. They have the restrictions are much higher than they were in the past, even on like the amount you could swap. Like, I'd be surprised if you could swap more than $9,000 on a lot of those now. And for anything more than 20, I'd be surprised if your funds didn't get held. But they used to with no problem. Like, the guys would just shotgun $100,000 orders, and swap a few $1,000,000.
I'm surprised that like Tornado, like I still see transactions going through Tornado.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me as well. But I thought about it like maybe a week ago. Is there any reason now that it's, I don't know, allowed, quote unquote?
No, because the smart contracts themselves are considered OFAC sanctioned. So like, good luck.
No, I'm sorry, I should have said this differently. Because we were talking about a means like Tornado Cash Fork, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason that people haven't been using that, like using another obfuscation tool? Like, is it just the fear that it will be shut down as well and their money could be deemed, bad money, quote unquote? Or
I think maybe people are waiting for like the Aztec revival, whatever that's going to be. There's quite a few. There's like, I mean, there's some that are like, could be like fed, like CIA funded, so like Iron Fish and stuff, where it's kind of like obfuscated. However, there's backdoors in it. Aztec, I think, was a good solution.
With like a bank account, the one pro to that is that it's private to you, the client, and the bank. And no one else knows that. Like, we think it's pretty off-putting or strange if like someone just said like, hey, how much is in your bank account? But in crypto, it's become like very normalized to like ask people how much money they have, how much money they made, go and look at their address, look up their transaction history. So for me, Tornado was always a way to just start fresh. Like,
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you built up some history somewhere and like you have a lot of people watching some address, it's a way to now have a brand new account with no prying eyes to do whatever and start over with. I don't think that is like a bad thing, to want privacy or to have gained too much popularity or too many eyes on, the actions you're doing on chain, not because you're doing anything nefarious, but just because of your social status or reputation. And it's now affecting markets, right? Like, and you don't want it to be. Like, I mean, Kobe probably had this problem quite often. People would watch his wallets as soon as he buys something. Everyone's really happy, pumps the price unintentionally. And then as soon as he sells something, it's people messaging him like, hey, why did you sell this token? Like, oh, dude, you just like killed our project, blah, 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 shit like that. And the only way after Tornado Cash to really obfuscate anything is to have a fresh wallet funded from like an exchange or a friend, dump everything you have in one wallet and rebuy on, the new wallet. So Tornado kind of solved that, or obfuscation tools kind of solve that. The need
It made it more efficient because you definitely see people spin up fake tokens and do that anyways, right through Uniswap.
Yeah.
Yeah, like on FriendTech, I funded Kobe's wallet, and now people think my wallet's Kobe. So I'm getting like people like are like DMing me like, "Hey, are you Kobe?" No. But I told Kobe I'm gonna drop the official Kobe NFT collection from his wallet now.
The Kobe deployer is now Icebergy.eth. Yeah, I thought that we might see like more social token stuff with the kind of revival of that idea. token gating or taking, the tokens that people now have on these platforms and doing more for it with the apps that people are already using. What do you think stopping people from like making their token gated chats and stuff like that, Bergie? Is it just that it's kind of cumbersome at the moment to go through the token creation process of taking your keys and wrapping them, or?
What do you mean? Like, sorry, I was looking at something about using the app or like wrapping your shares
Like,
as.
I saw a lot of people talking at first about, how the idea of being able to use the keys elsewhere, like rather than spinning up into
Oh, yeah.
your own ERC20, here you already have your own token. So with that, you could use those token to, gate chats where everyone can communicate, have access to different services. And the only people we've really seen do stuff like that are some of the OF creators and then like what, Magnet Money?
Yeah, so the shares are like you can't transfer them or something. And
Yeah.
so like if you want to create a token, it has to be owned by a contract. And it's just kind of a cumbersome like way to do it. And then you have to pay the 10% like fee on that too to like wrap it as a token. So it's just not like an easy process. Which I mean it's good for friend tech because it keeps people in that chat. But the app's just not really there's a lot of bugs still. So
I think you'll
I
see
think
infrastructure.
the app makes it easy for people just like to use versus like wrapping and then like buying a fraction. You would run into the problem too of like a fraction of a token and not a full share. And you can have like Carvin said, like no one's paying like a full ETH to like yell at you in your chat. And if you have like a fraction of a share, someone could buy like a couple bucks worth and then just be like a dick in your chat for no reason.
Yeah, that is the one thing I like about if you want to create a floor to kind of be able to talk with you or annoy you, get access to you. You can choose however many of your own you want to buy to kind of set that floor. And I'm trying to think who it was, but someone had, I think, deployed a contract to like burn your shares. I mean, yeah, you could just send, you could wrap them and send it anywhere and it's burnt, but
Can you force people to sell? Like, can you kick people?
no.
No, that's kind of a problem too. Like anyone, well, I guess like you can just ignore their messages because no one else can see them. So like, if there's just someone in your chat you don't like, you can just ignore them.
That is
And
the nice thing though. They're like the annoying guy in the chat isn't the annoying guy in the chat. He's just like screaming into nothing. Like you can just
screaming into the wall. Yeah.
yeah.
All right, we got 10 minutes left. One thing I want to cover is so Brian from Coinbase put out something. I think it was either last night or this morning regarding 10 crypto ideas he wants people to work on, and then also regarding this, there's like a summit in I think Malibu that's going to happen in October, and he's kind of inviting builders to come to it. But the 10 items are, some of them are interesting, some of them are not that interesting. But real quick, going through those items, there's flat coins, on-chain rep, on-chain ads, on-chain capital formation, job task marketplace, privacy for layer 2s, P2P exchange, on-chain games, tokenizing real-world assets, and software to start and manage network states, which definitely a plug to his old CTO Balaji there. But do you think that, like, So me and Cozy were talking about this earlier. It's like, is it that he's maybe not as plugged into some of the solutions that are kind of out there, or he wants to bring more competition in this space? Is it a subtle shill of some of their investments? Because I saw like for Flatcoin, there's Ampleforth is on there. And if you guys remember, Ample was Coinbase Ventures funded. Are they still around? They were one of the DeFi summer plays.
He's trying to shill his portcos necessarily. I think maybe, like, at first I laughed at this list. I'm like, Brian's just sitting there smoking a joint, like thinking of all these things that already exist. Yeah, on-chain reputation. That's going to be so sweet. It's like, like that's what an address gives you, you know, like you just have to look at the blockchain and their on-chain reputation. But the more I started thinking about these things, like in his list, I started realizing that there's not really a competitive market for any of these things. Like there's nothing that makes on-chain. There's no standardized like on-chain.
There's no like protocol. Yeah, there's no standardization.
On-chain capital formation. Like right now, like what you can use Aragon to create a DAO, but like in regards to like micro funds and stuff like that, it's really just a bunch of random people in Telegram groups saying like, let's set up multi-sig and manage funds together. So yeah, there's not really like on-chain capital formation, like marketplace, like AngelList. There's really like no privacy solutions for L2. Yeah, there's ZK Sync, but like I feel like ZK Sync is one thing that's like it's been being talked about for almost a decade. I feel like I've been hearing about ZK and ZK Sync, I think since I like got into crypto. Yeah, there's not enough privacy shit. P2P exchange fully on chain. That one was probably the funniest to me because it's like there are plenty of on-chain exchanges and they're technically all P2P.
Well, I think it's more like for OTC, like an on-chain OTC. Yeah, like
what I was gonna say is like maybe he's thinking more along the lines of like atomic swap.
Like Sudo did this, right? Like Sudo solved this with using 0x for P2P anything.
Yeah, I love their OTCs. I still use them on the old site. On-chain games. Games suck on chain. Like, I'm sorry. They're just like, there's no way that an on-chain game will ever compete with a top tier gaming company game until those companies enter the space. Like, I'm sorry, 5 guys who love gaming that just raised, I don't know, 10 million. They're not fucking competing with Blizzard or Epic. Those guys are multi-billion-dollar companies, and they put out a good game like once a decade. Okay, like no one is competing with that. So like I just don't I'm really bearish on-chain gaming.
You don't like Yuga's like sewer games?
I'm bullish on making money on the on-chain gaming narrative. I'm bearish on on-chain games like actually being successful. Tokenizing real world assets. I'm starting to get tired of the RWA.
Yeah,
like,
same.
I feel like we're gonna have to come up with a new term because like everything is a real world asset. This guy fucking the founder of Coinbase, who has USDC tatted on his forehead, is having shower thoughts about tokenizing real world assets. Like my brother.
I was thinking the other day, I'm like, how cool would it be if instead of, well, I mean, it could be good for Base, but instead of paying gas in ETH, you paid gas in Coinbase shares, like real world asset. That's a real world asset use case. I think that would piss off a lot of people in traditional finance, but I think it's a relatively easy thing to do. I think that'd be funny.
Not sure if that's something they want to dip their toes in with all of their
probably. Yeah,
they have going
it is against a lot of regulations.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do agree there's not really any competitive market or standardization / protocols that are kind of leading the way in any of these areas.
He should have
More
probably
real-world assets because, Brian, I don't know if you realize this, but USDC is a real world asset.
I don't think his list is like too wrong. Like a lot of those ideas people have been talking about for a long time.
Yeah.
But we never really had like a cheap place to like do all this stuff until like layer twos like came on. I mean, you could do them on other chains, but like there's no one there, so it didn't really matter. So like Frentex, like probably a decent example of it. Of like people have tried this quite a few, like a similar idea quite a few times, and I don't know, maybe market is just maybe a little bit more mature or further along where like some of these ideas that seem so crazy actually might be possible now.
Yeah, I mean,
With
we're seeing
just
a
like
lot.
with like how many people are on chain now versus it was probably like a couple hundred people back in like 27, like 1,000 something in 2017.
Even ideas in 2020 were like too early. Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's
yeah,
a lot in like the ICO days too that were just too early, but like might actually
work now.
work
Yeah,
now. Just there is like actually people who like lending markets seem so crazy to me in like 2017. They just like I was like, why would you ever loan like who would ever give you money to borrow against your crypto? And obviously that's changed a lot. So I'm sure there's more ideas from that era that actually might make sense now.
Now Bergie's on the like CDP Hall of Fame chart.
Yeah. I don't know. Things have changed quite a bit, even with like the wallet infrastructure, even in the past, like we were just talking, like
Gotten so
they've
much
improved quite a bit.
yeah.
I don't
so
know.
much better than it
Especially
was.
the last year. There's been like the last bull market brought in so much talent, especially the same time that there was a lot of tech layoffs. That I think that right now we're like really seeing an acceleration of technology.
It's crazy to me that
Yeah.
MetaMask has been around for almost a decade, and I have to use other wallets to use a hardware wallet.
Yeah, they. I talked to the guys, and there's just a lot of like bad tech debt in it in the system that wasn't like prepared for like a multi-chain kind of world, and like in a bull market, like it's really hard to to fix that while like you can't kill the app, and so now they're like rewriting everything and trying to improve it for like a different.
From the ground up would probably be godlike. I don't know. I think it might be hard to take me away from Frame now. I'm like, once I find something and start really liking it and using it, I become pretty loyal to the product.
Yeah, it'd be Frame's really good for like their wallet switching. It's pretty useful.
It's great for that. And for like hardware wallet, I mean, that's why I started using it. I started having issues with, I think it was the older Ledger, and then I got a Trezor 1 or no, Model T, whatever the touchscreen one is, and that wasn't working like half the time. So then DCF God, I think, told me like, oh, use Frame, and I had never heard of it before. This was like, I think during like times, and I have never gone back. Yeah, I tried using MetaMask again a few times, and like it just got
It's
stuck.
pretty awful.
I was
Yeah.
changing
I
chain.
use it. I got like multiple hardware wallets, so I just use it for all that, and it's really yeah, saves a lot of time for
Yeah,
clicking.
that's how mine is right now. It's like each Trezor, each Ledger,
The Lattice.
my Grid Plus. Yeah, one hot wallet. Yeah, I love Frame.
I hate when like new apps pop up though, and like they don't use the newest like wallet connectors, and it is kind of a pain to deal with sometimes.
What are we using now, DK? Dynamic, yeah. I actually really like them. I started noticing that a lot of other apps use them. You can see like, I don't know if it's powered by Dynamic.
Well, they're just like their dev team is on top of things. Like they're usually in the trenches before there's like a major release on, some infrastructure. So like they're already supporting like Wallet Connect. They supported, and like Wallet Connect just like pulled the plug on Wallet Connect V1 into V2. But like, yeah, they were in the trenches making sure that they are supporting it from like day one and stuff. And so I really like that. We have to constantly like go in and make sure that we're compatible and we have updated to the newest version of Dynamic. But as a like auth provider, I love them.
Yeah, I like them a lot, and they support like fucking every Web3
everything. Yeah.
Which is nice because I remember before having to like ping Roderick like, hey Rod, we should really add this wallet. There's a lot of users.
I know he's got like all the hardware wallets because he has to do all the testing on them. He's like, oh, all right, let me go find my treasure.
I don't know if he was still around at the time, but when we worked together years ago, we had gotten like a handful of hardware wallets. That's why I have most of them now. To do exactly that, like do QA testing every 2 weeks on new builds. So I wonder if he still has like a slew of them.
No, I think he does. I think he does. But I think Dynamics has made it a lot easier for him.
Yeah. Good tech. We like the tech.
Yeah, it's good tech. And they got plugins to like everything. Magic, Web3 auth, like whatever you want. They got the social connections now.
Yeah.
Anyway, subtle show. If you're a builder. All right, we're at time, guys. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I don't know, Bergie. Anything fun going on chain at the moment?
It kind of slowed down a little bit, just with a few projects were like building, and then just like the devs did like stupid things, and then they like instantly died. Yeah, and that kind of took a little bit of the wind out of the sails. But I'm sure like next week it'll be back to like normal. So I don't know. There hasn't really been too much.
Do you think that SG will be a like legitimate rival competitor to Friendtech, or do you think a different flavor fork is going to be the one that is kind of the looks rare to the Friendtech OpenSea?
I'm wearing my looks rare shirt right now.
I just don't know if someone can, like Racer, he knows a lot of people, so I don't really know who could challenge that. Of like, he's got a lot of friends that won't like go somewhere else. So
yeah,
it's kind of hard to, especially with Paradigm backing, it's hard to compete with that. So it's going to take a little bit for like an actual dev team to build something that's like competitor. I think we'll see some stuff in like a couple weeks that's actually like somewhat legit, but I don't. It's just too hard to compete compared to like just using a new DEX with the token.
Yeah, I agree with that. I yesterday morning I was saying, this is before the SG like debacle that happened, that I think it'll be pretty hard for anyone to compete in a way that takes significant like share of the attention gravity from them. Because if you look at like really the history of forks, Ethereum is the only fork that ever won. Like
you always say that.
It is. It's the only fork that ever won. Tell me another one. I'll wait.
I mean, it's no. I think it's just like a meta funny joke that I think most people probably won't understand. But I think I appreciate your joke.
Yeah, you had to be around to understand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like if you do kind of understand why that's so important, like, and how that kind of broke the mold of like traditional rules of attention gravity, then you'll understand like network effects a bit better, right? And like if you understand network effects, then it's easy to kind of see how difficult it would be to take from something that has so much attention gravity right out the gate. You're talking about an app that is smashing Uniswap and an L1 that's primarily used for betting by Southeast Asia in fees. An app that has more users than some of the top DeFi apps, and all something like that's been out for like 2.5 weeks. So whether it's just initial hype or not, the metrics alone are enough to kind of sustain some type of gravity around it. And that gravity is dense enough to where I don't really think you can just pull it somewhere else. Exactly what you were saying, like between Racer and like Paradigm and stuff like that, it'll be pretty hard to peel any of their user group from them.
Well, they have PMF now. They can scale. They can hire. Like, they're going to continue to build cool stuff. It's just going to take some time. Yeah, but I don't see anyone else even coming close. Plus, people like are super tribal and like have allegiance, I think, and anyone that comes out as the secondary, I think maybe we'll get like short-term use, but then you'll usually come back to it's like when we all went on the threads. We're on threads for like a day.
Oh, I knew that would happen. I said the same thing. I'm like, dude, Threads was dead in a week. Like, it's not going to be the place people go to. People are.
It was fun for like an hour.
Yeah, people are.
It was pretty fun, yeah.
Like Twitter is the information hub. So it doesn't matter if like your little niche group wants to go somewhere else and talk. You're still coming back to Twitter to get the rest of your information. And because of that, some new social app that spins up isn't going to steal users, like, period. I don't think Twitter will ever die. I really don't think that it will have like a MySpace moment where something comes and trumps it. It's the hub for too much information. But I don't know. I'm happy to be wrong. Maybe when I'm like 70, X will be trumped by some new metaverse style, platform. But as far as like flat, traditional digital communication, I don't know if something can steal attention gravity that Twitter had.
All right. On that note, Bergie, thanks for joining us. You're always welcome. We're here every day.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, anytime, Bergie. Every day, 11 EST. What is that? 15 UTC. And you can tell them the Pacific Times, DK. I don't pay attention to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're gonna have Top Tick on Monday, but tomorrow we'll cover a little bit of macro because there's some macro things I want to discuss, and then also just like how that macro environment plays into the grander crypto ecosystem, especially with timing. All right, thanks everybody.
Cool.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
See
Adios.
you guys.